Hey, shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker coming at you raw and uncensored. Welcome to Shout Out from the Pit, where we bring stories and topics designed to add to your toolbox as you trudge the road to happy destiny. I'm so glad that we don't have any sponsors right now because I don't know if anyone would want to hear my, antics background. I don't know. I'm not a professional at this. In fact, none of us are, but we are a happy lot. Okay, so today is a table chat with some folks from the tribe you've met before. There's Sloan.
Shout out.
Tony.
Hey, everybody.
And Pat.
Good evening.
As always, guys, I appreciate y'all for, coming out, taking the time out of your days. I know that all of us have had some, just a lot of stuff going on. So being able to get together and go over this topic that we've got tonight is awesome. This is, again, folks, as you know, this is kind of like our service work. We do a lot of things for service work, from going to deal with a shut-in, going to jails, going to rehabs, trying to carry positive messages of recovery. But this is an opportunity for us to get a larger audience and to hear feedback from y'all. And I do appreciate the feedback that we get on the site. Thank you very much for that stuff, folks. And then here in the near future, I hope to post some of that stuff. But just as a reminder, Redbeard, which couldn't be with us tonight, is the brains behind the show. Redbeard is one of those busiest guys I've ever met in my life. So we are just both kind of running. I'm one of the mouths, or maybe the big mouth, and then everybody else is just a mouth. So, and thanks for hanging in there with us. I hope that you'll enjoy the show today. So before we get started, we're just going to do a little catch up, see how guys are doing. We had a storm here last night. So if I look a little haggard, that's because, I've mentioned to y'all before, Danny, you might hear him in the background. You've heard him on previous shows. He came over and nudged and woke me up. I kind of rebuffed him. So he went over and woke Mama up. And this is at, I think it's like 12:30. And so I got back to sleep, but he did it 2 more times. That third time, I could not go back to sleep. So, I was up, took a late nap, and took an afternoon nap, because that's how us retirees roll. And then I spent 90 minutes in a dental chair, so my face is a little numb, which another reason I'm grateful for the guys here, because, hopefully they'll have a lot to chime in on this topic. And finally, I'll come back to that, but well, let's get caught up with the guys here. Sloan, tell us what's going on in your life.
Thank you, Bob. Life is going pretty good right now. Just trying to do my service work and go to a lot of meetings. And I don't know, life is pretty good. So I'm going to pass it over to Pat.
Hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
No, you can't get away that easy.
Okay, sorry.
Sloan, I think we'd all like to congratulate you on the newest addition in your life.
Ben?
Oh. I wasn't thinking of that.
Well, I did pick up a sponsee.
Okay. And I wasn't thinking that either, but okay, that's awesome. Of course, that's what we want to do, is pay it forward.
Yes.
We haven't done a show with you since you bought your house.
Oh, well, I was thinking, what are you talking about, Bob? But yeah, got a new house, and it's going great. Me and my kitty cat have a great time, and none of that would have been possible had I not gotten sober. And I am very grateful for the things that have happened in my life since I found sobriety. And anybody out there who's trying, keep up at it, because good things will happen. I can pretty much guarantee that. It may not happen immediately, but good things start to happen. And when I found a higher power, started getting into my prayers and trying to do God's will, and trying to do service work and really work in a program, good things started to happen. Things started to fall into place. And I feel so blessed now. And I do have the new house. Everything's going great. Just probably have the guys come over and help me unpack some more stuff. But
how long you been there?
Not long enough to unpack.
That's right.
But no, I've unpacked the essentials, but I still need to put pictures up on the walls and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going slowly but surely. So that's fun. I was out on my porch today, and I thought, man, I'm going to have to mow the grass pretty soon. And I thought, yay, I'm going to get to mow the grass, my grass. So that's kind of one of those cool things that happens when you get sober. And also I picked up a sponsee, yeah, which is scary, but we're getting through it. And hopefully he will decide to take the same journey I've taken. And
why don't, maybe in the near future, we have him on the show and we just dog him to death. I mean, and just love on him.
We'll just grill his butt. Yeah.
He's a good guy. I'm looking forward to having him out.
I think he's going to be okay. But yeah, life is going great. And with that, have I spoken long enough?
You can talk as long as you want.
Yeah, please.
We are raw and uncensored. Nothing here is getting edited, by the way. This is going right to the airs probably the next few days.
Well, I can say one more thing that I was thinking about taking archery lessons.
Yeah.
There was just too many drawbacks. Okay, that's all I've got.
On that note,
Life is busy. Life is busy for Pat right now. So we started off the year, and it took us a little while to get going because weather does dictate what I do for a living. But what's kept me busy on outside of work, I've gotten busy in the fellowship. Got a couple committees that I'm doing. Which is great because it's something that I normally wouldn't do. It's kind of taking me outside of my shell. And then you got work, and work is starting to get busy. I've got a 2-page list that I'm trying to cut down on, and we're doing a good job, but Mother Nature seems to play a big part in that. And if she would ever cooperate, that would be nice. But as we know, women sometimes don't cooperate. So I don't mean that in a derogatory way by no means, but so it's juggling all those things together, and it makes for a busy time, and that's okay because like Sloan just said, I got sober to be able to do this. And I do get the anxiety and frustration at times, but when I look at it in bigger picture, I'm sober and I'm able to do it. So busy, but I wouldn't want it any other way. So Tony, what you got?
Well, hold on a second. Do you want to give a shameless plug to the golf tournament that's forthcoming?
Sure. So every year since 2006, we've had a recovery golf tournament, and it happens on the last Saturday of every month called Soberfest Golf. What Soberfest Golf does, it pays for a picnic that we have in June. And you caught me off guard.
Sorry.
I should have the dates, since we just met last night. I think it's June 21st, if I remember right. Let's come back to that, Bob. And
Sure.
I'll be able to plug that a little bit.
Yeah, if I forget, man, just to interject it. On that note, though, Brett blessed us. You guys have heard Brett before. In fact, specifically on the episode with the Quad Squad. Brett sponsored one of the holes for Shout Out from the Pit. Is that right?
He did.
Yeah, he called us and said, hey, he wanted to do that. And I was like, you're our very first sponsor. We've never had anything like that. But hey, I've been asked this question before. We are going to be putting a donation site up here in the near future, and we're never going to beat this up. If funds come in so we can upgrade our equipment, great. If not, what we have works. So there's an old saying, want what you have and you'll have what you want. So anytime we can upgrade the equipment, we'll do that. And there's some other things we want to do, but really what we want to do is just get the message out. And that's what we've been doing. So anyway, Pat, I wanted to go down another road with you, but I'll come back to that here in a second. Tony, man, you, brother, you went from being able to hang with me whenever you could or wanted to now I'm just blessed if we ever get to see you. What's going on?
Oh, Bob. No, it's just echoing what Pat said. It's a busy life, man. I retired and took about 15 months off. That was probably about 12 months too long. There's only so many honeydews and to-dos around the property that I can. But no, I've been blessed to move into a new job last October, and it's been rocking and rolling ever since. On the road a lot. So, I do miss the tribe and do miss some of the things you guys are doing, but you know what? I'm sober. My family is doing great. It's funny with the son in the military, and he just called me yesterday and we just talked for like an hour, which if I was drinking and not sober, definitely wouldn't have called me. We wouldn't have had that great conversation. I'm able to see my daughter as much as I can when I'm home. She got a new car last month, and she's working, and she's, playing lots of golf, and doing great in school. So I can't, kind of hard to complain about that. My wife's doing great as well. So life is actually pretty darn good. I mean, the one thing my daughter's going to miss when I leave, on business trips, is every day before she gets home, I make her a grilled cheese sandwich. And I didn't think it meant that much to her, but when I was gone last time, she's like, I really miss Dad. And then my wife's like, oh, that's nice. And she goes, I really miss those grilled cheese sandwiches too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I thought that was quite amusing. But no, I mean, traveling as much as I do, I am able to hit different meetings. So I see different viewpoints, and, some people chair meetings differently. The format's a little different, but when it all comes down to it, it's all about staying sober. And regardless of if the format's different, if they don't say the Serenity Prayer, if they don't say the Lord's Prayer, whatever it may be, everyone is there for the right reason. That's, just to not drink today. So I'm enjoying life. It's just busy.
Awesome. You shared a line with us earlier. Do you remember what it was? It's kind of profound. I mean, I remember it. I'd like you to go tell us what it was, and maybe just share what it means to you.
Oh, well, yesterday I heard a line that says, don't place don't place a period where God places a comma. So, I heard that and I was like, wow, that's very, like Bob said, profound. Basically, when we think things are at an end, that's not necessarily God's plan. He's got more planned for you going forward in your life. So, little short sentence, but I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Amen. Pat, coming back to you.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chance to see the house that you were raised in, of course. We all are familiar with that house. And you had shared with us that there was a secret room in that house that you would go to and get away. And so I went in there with a flashlight. Mm-hmm. And I studied it, all the little drawings and stuff. I sent you a picture of one with your sister and your former neighbor.
Right.
But I wanted you to be reunited.
Sure.
You want to tell us about this? Hey,
so
pass that over.
I would do that.
All right. Back in my childhood, I would micro machines and these little automobiles, little vehicles. I used to have about 5,000.
Oh my!
And I would line them up so your hallway at the house. I would line them up, and I would have my police cars at the police station. And I'd have my fire trucks, and they would be lined up all the way down the hall. And I would leave them, for days and days. And of course, somebody'd step on them, and Dad would, not be too happy or, things like that. But my parents allowed me to be creative, and that was, I think my mom told me, after my dad passed, she moved a lot of stuff, and there was 2 or 3 boxes of just micro machines. So that was my childhood. This is my childhood right here, and that's pretty.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember this one specifically.
I wonder if it's because you just I don't like this one. And
it probably was, Bob, because this is a big thing. This is a big one. And I was used to the little small ones, but every vehicle every night got touched. This vehicle would go over here, and that vehicle would go over there, and I had my make believe world of the Pat City or whatever lined up down the hallway.
That's cool.
But yeah, that definitely does take me back, Bob.
Just for context, Pat, why don't you tell them what you're looking at?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it's either a Peterbilt 18-wheeler tractor. I think they would call it. It doesn't have the trailer on it, but it does. I don't remember this one specifically, Bob. Which when you have 5,000, one of them ain't going to stand out, I guess. But this would be probably where you found it. It's because I didn't like it, So doesn't matter. It takes me back to that time, man. And, that's pretty awesome.
Have we told this story before, how we met?
No, I don't believe so.
Let's hear your version.
Oh, here we go. So I actually thought about this the other day. Driving down the road, you kind of get lost in space. And so when I come to the program, I'm going to a specific meeting, and that's the only meeting I'm going to. And it's a ways away from where I live. And there's reasons because, I didn't want anybody to know I was going to the program. And so one specific night, they tell you to keep on coming back. And I kind of had my guard up for quite a while going to this meeting. I didn't want anybody to get to know Pat. I didn't think I would fit in and blah, 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 all the little things that we worry about. But I'm sitting in this particular meeting, and there are two guys that came up, and they, never seen them, never talked to them. And the meeting went on, and we got done with the meeting, and I'm outside smoking. I make a bolt for the door, like I always did, because I don't want anybody to talk to me after the meeting. But on this particular night, for some reason, I stood, I stayed around, and one of the gentlemen started talking to me, and we started asking each other questions. Where are you from? This and that. Well, so his question was like, where are you from? Sherwood. And whereabouts in Sherwood, and told him where I live now. And we got on the conversation of somehow, I grew up, though, at this particular spot. And he was like, oh, really? And it's funny because now I don't remember everything that was said, but it broke it down to
the street,
and then the house. And it's like, man, this coincidence?
I think
not, but we got to talking, and, everything just kind of fell in place. And that's one of the things I was, back and forth in my head. You come to a program such as the one I work, and if you keep on coming back, as everybody suggests, eventually something happens, and then the journey is on. So these particular two guys, we started hanging out, and I got to spend time in the house I grew up in. And that was, again, coincidence. I don't think so, now knowing, how God works. So, I mean, it was one of those nights that I can look back on and say, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. It took a little bit of action on my part to keep on showing up to the meeting. And that's one of the things I tell everybody is, it does take a little bit of work on your part. And that particular night, I didn't want to go because I remember it was a cold night. Like,
that's right.
Damn it. I really don't. I think I had a long day at work or something, it's like, man, I really don't want to go. And, one of the people in the fellowship reminds us, don't miss the miracle, and I would have missed the miracle if I didn't.
Wow. Yeah.
So I put all this stuff together, and it's like, this was actually meant to be, this was all orchestrated by a power greater than me. And, but I had to do my part. I had to show up. So people out there that, are listening to this, keep showing up, because you might have one of those moments where, your life changes. And that was a life changing moment for me, because at that point I hadn't found anybody in the fellowship that I really kind of gravitated to. Somewhat my part, of course, but that night the stars aligned, and everything just kind of came together. And 3.5 years later, I'm sitting with the two gentlemen.
That's a trip.
That's pretty crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Tony, what do you remember from that night?
Oh, pretty much the same thing Pat did. I remember seeing Pat at the Cabot group a couple times, and I was very much involved there. That was my home group. And I do remember him sitting in the back most of the time with not a smile on his face and hitting the door whenever the Lord's Prayer was done. And we saw him that night at the other meeting where we actually really engaged. Yeah, it was a freezing cold night.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't want to stand outside because I don't smoke. But it was just when, I was talking to someone else, but it's overhearing the conversation with Bob and Pat. Oh, where do you live? I live here. Oh, whereabouts? Oh, that street. Oh, and then it just like came together that Bob lives in the same house that Pat grew up in. And it was, it's amazing when things like that happen. And it's amazing the evolution of, the friendship and the bonds that we have had since then, because, I've known Bob the longest here, and we've done things together and, rock marches, coffee and things like that. But since the tribe started growing, we have just started, we've done so many events and conferences and trips and all these different things together. And it's, it's amazing. There is fun after alcohol. There is fun in sobriety.
Wow. Yeah, well, that is a great caveat, the topic tonight. But I just wonder, when you told me about that, I knew it was there, but it's so little, that room in that house, that I was like, I've got to get it. Because you talked about how you played in there.
Yeah, it was my runaway room.
Nobody else could fit in there.
Every time I told my parents I'm running away, that's where I went. I had the hobo's little sack and Mom would help me pack it.
Oh man,
it was looking back. But here's the funny thing about that. Every time I ran away, my mom was like, "Well, you're gonna miss chocolate chip cookies," and that just tug at me because I'm running away, and then you smell those cookies, and it's like, okay, maybe I ain't running away anymore. So, but that was my getaway spot, and that house, that's where I grew up, until I went to the Marine Corps, and my parents lived, I don't know how much longer in that house. Hell, you'd know better.
I bought that house in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went to the Marine Corps, got out of the Marine, and it was another 7 years before they moved from that house. So that house with me for quite a while.
And then, of course, I met my wife and moved to Park. And then, Sloan, you moved in the house.
I did.
I'm thinking about this right now. And I correct me if I'm wrong, but
we've all lived in that house.
Yeah, we have.
I never thought of that.
Well, yeah, I still remember part of the story. I wasn't at that meeting that night, but I remember you coming up and saying, "You're not going to believe this. I met the guy who used to live here, and he's going to come hang out with us." I think for our Sunday meeting that we were having there in the garage.
Yeah.
Right.
And
but
said,
we
cool.
we started on Friday nights, if you remember right. We started a movie night.
Oh, the Warriors.
I don't think we did, because that would have ran me off.
Thank God we didn't do that for the first one. Yeah.
Like, really, is this we're not come on, guys, but yeah, I think we started on a Friday night.
I think we did. I think you're right about that, Pat.
That kind of gave me, something to do on a Friday night, because I didn't have a meeting at that point on a Friday night. It wasn't until we really started getting going that we started going to different meetings on Friday nights. Now, the Cabot meeting was always a Friday night deal.
Right. And we did that for a long time.
We did that for a long time. So, sorry, Sloan.
No, that's great, man. I just, that's so cool that how all that came together. And I'm with you, Pat. At the time when it happened, I thought, what a crazy coincidence. But as I got stronger in my program and stronger with my connection to my higher power, I thought that was all this stuff has been happening. And it's really beautiful, not to get too crazy sentimental or anything, but it really is.
Pat, hand in that box of Kleenex.
Yeah, right here.
I really need it. But no, that is great, man. That's what it's all about. Those little nuggets that God kind of gives you to show you're on the right path.
So we started having meetings in your garage, Sloan, which is the house that Pat grew up in that I bought.
Pat's old garage.
And then, Pat, you became the rep for the jails, so we started going there Friday nights. We all passed the audition, did our background search. And then we went on, what was our first road trip?
Ohio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was, so at that point, I would have known the two of y'all for a little less than a year, and we're going on road trips together. I'm like, really? But God puts people in your life. God puts situations in your life, and I just ran with it because I don't want the other side.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to go back to that. And magically, things just start happening. And it's like, hey, we're going to Ohio. Okay, let's go, because in my addiction, I didn't leave my garage. I left my garage to go to work, and work I didn't. Some way they, allowed me to keep showing up, but I jump at a chance. Y'all say get in the truck. Can I drive? Can I drive?
Bob's definitely not driving.
No, Bob's in the back. You don't even know.
Senior citizen row, half measures row.
Did we leave him back at the gas station?
Well,
hold on. I'm watching a reel.
Oh yeah. What's your name? I remember that. So we have, obviously, well, or not obvious because I haven't said it yet, but the topic tonight was we are not a glum lot, and we just kind of launched into it. But I'm sitting here thinking of all the fun that we've had before I even went to the reading. Pool parties at your house, Tony. We just did a game day at your house, Pat. Did meetings at your house, Sloan. And now that you got this other house, I guess you'll be doing something there.
We can definitely have a meeting there. We've got enough space. Yeah.
And you guys, you're orchestrating a right now to go to Oakland, a bunch of guys.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
And gals. And then we got, unfortunately, Tony won't be there because I'm going to dime him out. He is one of the best cooks ever. And so he, every time we go to these conferences and stuff, he owns the kitchen. We do all the cleanup. You don't have to do anything but cook. So we're going to Eureka this year. And Brett, when you hear this show, you got nominated to be our cook. Voluntold, Brett. All right. So, but thanks to Tony, we did land on the topic of we are not a glum lot. And those that are familiar, I need to kind of put a disclaimer out there in a sense. So I'm gonna have one of the guys read. In fact, Tony, let me hand this to you because you're the closest to me. I've already kind of highlighted the two paragraphs. Before you read that, okay, guys, I know you've heard this before, but I want to say it again. So the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is what we're about to read from on page 132. If those of you that out there actually have one, you want to go to it. The thing that's really interesting with the shows that we've done with like other people that are dealing in 12-step programs, recovery, whatever, there is so much in common. Our affliction may have been alcohol, but when you take that out, we're done with alcohol. Now it's about having a life and living. So this obviously this podcast, this show is about living. And the other folks that we've interviewed that have different afflictions, whether they're physical, like Brother Mark on the show, the Quad Squad, he's a quadriplegic. We're going to be doing other shows with other people with different afflictions. All of us have something in common, and that's that we subscribe to letters of life. And one of them is we are not a glum lot. So what we're about to read, or Tony's about to read, is an excerpt from the big book, and I just want you to look for the similarities. Defer to you, Tony.
All righty. I am a product of the Florida public education system, so I'll put that disclaimer out there before I start. All right. So Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, page 132. We have been speaking to you of serious, sometimes tragic things. We have been dealing with alcohol in its worst aspect. We aren't a glum lot. If newcomers could see no joy or fun in our existence, they wouldn't want it. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. We try not to indulge in cynicism over the state of the nations, nor do we carry the world's troubles on our shoulders. When we see a man sinking into the mire that is alcoholism, we give him first aid, place what we have at his disposal. For his sake, we do not recount and almost relive the horrors of our past. But those of us who have tried to shoulder the entire burden and trouble of others find we are soon overcome by them. So we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. Outsiders are sometimes shocked when we burst into merriment over a seemingly tragic experience out of the past. But why shouldn't we laugh? We have recovered. We have been given the power to help others.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Okay, so looking at, I'm going to ask you guys to think a little bit about what you read, give some thoughts to that. Just for the listening audience, that excerpt, that book was written in the 1930s. Some of the vernacular has changed. A lot of people don't use the word glum today. You might be more familiar with some of the more common vernacular, like morose, feeling dejected, crabbed, gloomy, sulky, sullen, surly, unhappy, wrecked, or bummed. Glum is the opposite of cheerfulness, which we do know that word. So I'm going to ask you guys, hit some thoughts about, then and now. That always kind of makes more sense. Talk about the then, the now. What did it mean to you to be unhappy versus what's it mean to be happy in the life that you lead now? And then I'll chime in and ask some other questions of you later, but maybe what's off the top of your mind.
I don't know. I think for me, if I wasn't getting such a reward, such satisfaction out of the things that are happening now, I wouldn't keep doing it. I don't know. Like you just touched on, Bob, the drink and the drug is not the problem. Living life. And, I had gone out there for so many years. I didn't have any life skills. When I got sober, I still had the life skills of an 18-year-old. And, so this program has taught me how to live and how to get out of myself and how to have some fun. Like Tony touched on, there's definitely fun after alcohol and drugs. And I could not see that when I first came in the program. I thought, maybe I'm going to get sober. What the heck am I going to do? So, I've managed to find plenty of things to do. And, I find that I get the greatest satisfaction when I get out of myself, get off my butt and do something for somebody else, or to try to help another alcoholic, things like that. And even coming tonight, I don't think of this as service work. It's hanging out with the guys and sharing a little bit of experience, strength, and hope, but it is service work. And, I hope that our words can touch somebody out there. And, we're definitely not a glum lot. I have laughed more in these last 3.5 years than I laughed for 15 or 16. So yeah, it's a good time and it's fun and it's a very satisfying for me, a very rewarding way to live, to come home at the end of the day and think, man, I did something good. That's awesome.
Thanks, Sloan.
Tony.
Thanks. Yeah. So, coming from where we were to where we are now, talking about, humor has a lot of power. Togetherness, belongingness, that was something that I was missing during my times of addiction. And I was hiding in the dark, and it just wasn't a fun place to be. It really wasn't. It's a lot to weigh on your shoulders when you're trying to play two different people, one professionally and one personally, and family really doesn't want to be around you, and you really don't have many friends because you isolate and you drink alone. That's kind of my story. I had friends, but nobody I really cared for very much like I do right now. But yeah, so you walk into AA. Normally, people don't walk through those doors when everything's going great in their life. Normally things are not going to walk through those doors. And for me, I was beaten down. I was battered. I had done some things I wasn't proud of, and I was looking for help. And it takes a while for some people. I'm stubborn. I'm hard-headed. But, talking about, meeting Bob, first meeting I walked into, I was like, please don't let there be anyone I know in this meeting. There were 3 people I literally worked with. But, I just embraced it, and we started doing things like going on ruck marches, going to lunch. And it was just it was a nice connection, even at work, when you could see somebody and you knew they were in the program. It's like that secret handshake that you got going on or something. fast forwarding as we started to come together more as a tribe. I don't know if Bob had a tribe before this or not, but what we have now is something special. It's something that it's hard to describe. Pat talked about the Ohio trip. You just got a few guys jumping in the vehicle, and people are like, why would you go to Ohio? Well, to leave Arkansas for one reason. The best.
What? Hold on.
Any reason to leave Arkansas, I'm in.
Wow.
Pat and Sloan are natives.
Yeah.
No offense to the Arkansans out there.
Yeah.
But, we made the best of the trip. We stopped at the Corvette Museum. We went to meetings along the way. We went to
Slugger.
Yeah, we went to Louisville Slugger. Right. We went to Dr. Bob's house, who's the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. We went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, we packed a lot into that trip. And then other people heard about all our stories. And, then they want a part of it. So, then we rent cabins for springtime in the Ozarks. And, you've got 8, 9 guys, whatever it may be, living in cabins for 4 days and going to conventions. But after the convention's great. But it's really before and after the convention that gets me the most. It's the fellowship. It's sitting outside by the fire, telling lies for hours at a time.
And sober.
Yes, and sober, and good food, and just, being able to be around sober people. It's really pretty amazing. And, our next trip, we had another brother join us that wanted to go. And, we went to New York City. And so we all flew up there, and we got to go to the General Service Office and tour that. But besides that, it's November in New York City, and it's gorgeous. I don't necessarily care for New York City, but it had all the Christmas out there. We got to see the 9/11 memorials. We finally found the Empire State Building.
Look behind you. Look behind you.
Oh, that was funny.
So if you go to New York City and you think your phone's going to work on GPS, there's a lot of interference out there. So we're walking around everywhere looking for this Empire State Building. And Bob walked up to someone and he said, where is this? And basically what'd she say? Turn around.
But she did it with such grace, like looked at me like, I just feel so sorry for you. Your IQ must be my son's age. And she said, look behind you. And we all looked behind us, and there was the Empire State Building.
Yeah, so just fun things like that. And, even local things we do. Would we go? We went to the beaver dinner. What's that called? The
Coon supper.
Coon supper.
We went to something called the Coon supper, which is
close, Tony.
And it was the last one.
Yes, it was the first and the last. But you know what? It was fun.
Yeah.
It was something that we could look back on and laugh about, and we could laugh when we were there. So, it's about having fun, being together, the fellowship, and just being able to laugh at ourselves, laugh at each other, laugh at all the, little incidents that come up, and being able to even laugh at the stuff that most people, like it said in the passage, would think is tragic. We can now look back at because we're sober, kind of laugh at those things. So.
Yeah, good insight.
I know you thoroughly enjoyed that trip, Tony, especially the play.
Oh, yeah. So, if you ever use Vet Tix, you get free tickets for free events and shows and sporting. So I was like, hey, let's go see a show. All right. Well, Vet Tix, these tickets are free. When do you see a Broadway show?
There's a reason.
For free. And, it ended up being off Broadway. Really, really off Broadway. And it was a show that I think started, in the 70s? And the same woman was still doing it. And, it was, we're texting back and forth during the show and, about crying when we got out of there, laughing. So even the things that aren't what most people would think are fun and good are to us.
Yeah. One of my memories on that is Ralph was the other guy with us, and the smell of pot is everywhere. And God bless those that can get high. I can't. Pot is one of those things that turns my stomach, just the smell of it. And it's everywhere. It's legal. And so I don't know what possessed Ralph and I, but we walked by one of those shops, and you guys were like, nah, we're not going in. But Ralph and I were like little kids. We want to go see what's in there. And I was just blown away of well, not literally blown away, but I was just amazed at where the world has gone. But when we came out of there, I think we were a little fuzzy headed for a minute. I think we had to hold on to each other for about a block, which reminds me, I shouldn't even say this, but there are some special people everywhere you go. But in New York, there are some real special people. And I just remember that guy walking by us. I don't want to repeat what he said for the sake of the listening audience, but it was something we were able to share as a group. It's tragic for that person, but it was funny for us. Probably shouldn't go any further than that. Sorry, I digress. It was a great memory. Yeah, that was a great trip. Tony, you had used in reference to when you were hoping you didn't meet anybody. I just want to hear you talk about this a little bit. And when you went into the meeting, you used the word embrace. And that's a really key word in recovery. What does that mean to you when the word embrace in that context of what you were sharing?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people are, introverts, standoffish. They really don't want to get in the middle of the crowd, or they just don't want to put themselves out. And, if you just take just a small step to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, ask for someone's number, or you hear them going to dinner, ask, hey, can I go to dinner? And then things just start to grow and flourish from that. And what I meant by embrace is you just got to keep doing it. Got to hold on, because the great things are going to happen. The miracles are going to happen. Just, like Pat said, you just got to keep showing up. I just embrace the fact that these people are completely different than me, but they're just like me. So, I mean, this disease that we have doesn't know any type of barriers. But if you can just go in with a little bit of hope and a little bit of vulnerability, you can make lifelong friends that you'll never forget.
Yeah, that resonated with me because when the way you said it in the context for which you used it, I know in the military we say embrace the suck. Marines got their shirts, the Army's got their shirts. I say that because Pat's a Marine and Tony and I are Army former soldiers. Embrace the suck was, okay, nobody wants to freaking pull duty or whatever, or nobody wants to go in a sandbox, but we got to embrace the suck. But the context that you used it in was a little bit different than I was thinking because, I agree with everything you just said. I don't want to be one of you people. And that was my thinking at the time. I don't want to surround myself with you weirdos that can't drink. You use these stupid cliches. You read out of this stupid book. You do these stupid steps and you have a sponsor. How stupid is all this? It's all stupid. And all I had to do was hear somebody say, well, how's your life working for you now, Bob? And well, then how am I going to continue to do these things? Because I didn't get the whole cheerfulness. That reading meant nothing to me when I first saw it. It was weird because I had not yet, and that's why I like that you said that. I had not yet embraced recovery. I was marking time. I was living an empty life. It was totally shell, playing the game, as some might call it. Because I could not embrace once, and I don't think that word I've ever used that word in the context that you just did. But I realize now that I did it without using the word. Once I embraced recovery, that I am one of these people. Because as much as I hated to admit it at the time, I identify with you. I understand your pains. I understand, the loneliness, the despair, the incomprehensible demoralization. I identified with those similarities long before I identified with the topic of our show today. I couldn't see the cheerfulness. I didn't see it on the horizon, but y'all kept saying, stick around, don't quit before the miracle, as you said earlier. The promises that are on pages, 83, 84, 85, 86, somewhere in there, those things were completely foreign to me, but I did what y'all told me to do. I didn't drink. I didn't drink, didn't do drugs, went to meetings. And then one day I found that I was laughing. And I had to look at that and go, wow, I never in my life could have imagined having fun without illicits, ever. And then on top of that, we have all been in situations now where we've had to place some sort of trust in each other. I never experienced that. Real trust in some. I've been stabbed in the back so many times. I always had a third eye on people. I didn't matter, hey, we're BFFs. Yeah, you say that, but I know that the opportunity comes, you'll leave me hanging. We have never done that with each other. We've been there through all kinds of bad juju and helped each other in other things. You know, you guys have helped me with this tornado damage that we had with the house. You guys both came out with chainsaws, lawnmowers. You helped us with the landscaping, Pat, since you definitely are good at it. We just done stuff for each other. And it's, you know, maybe that isn't a category of its own when we say we're not a glum lot, because that's a comfortable lot. Totally comfortable with having you men in my home, totally comfortable being in your home. And that is just, I don't know if you listening to this show identify with that, then that's a reason to stay on your recovery journey. If you're listening to this show and you are really new to recovery after what you just heard us say, that is an incentive for you to hang in there, because you change. I don't have the power to change a single person that's sitting in this show with us right now, but they had the power to change me because I wanted what they had. And that meant I had to exercise words I'd learned in the military, but they only applied on duty. You know, leadership, integrity, duty, responsibility. You know, those words applied. You know, they say that we're service members 24 hours a day. Well, honestly, I was only a service member in uniform. When I was outside of uniform, I was that guy the first sergeant had to come haul out. You know, I learned that I could be a decent human being 24 hours a day. And then I could learn that we're not a glum lot. I mean, I could really, really have a great life. You know?
You know, to that, Bob.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, we do stuff for each other. Funny thing is now we don't expect anything back.
Oh, no.
You know, when I was in my addiction, if I did something for somebody, I wanted everyone to know it. And you know what? I would put that favor in my pocket. And now, you know, we do it without even thinking. Someone's got a problem, we just help them out.
That favor in my pocket. That's a good one.
I like that.
Okay, so I've also, because of this program, I have learned not to judge the messenger. And what I mean by that is we all know somebody, that guy, he's that guy. And you listening audience, you know who that guy is in your life. So anything that comes out of that guy's pie hole, you've already rejected. And so there was a celebrity recently that I actually listened to because I, like the guys already shared, I like to watch reels, the short reels, not the long ones. And this guy said something to the effect of what has made him a stronger person, because even though he's been in as a celebrity, he's been an actor since, I don't know, 80s, 90s or something. He has these, you know, challenges, insecurities and what have you. And that he learned early on in life. And of course, we wouldn't know it by watching him now because he's a superstar. And I'm not a big celebrity fan. I don't put any of them on a pedestal. In fact, I'm not even going to mention this guy's name just because of that. But I listened to him, and he said he's a fearful guy. And every time he faced a fear, it made him stronger and made him more likable. And I just listened to that, and I thought, gee, how does that up? Now, normally I don't listen to a word coming out of a celebrity's mouth. And no offense, because there's a few out there that are in recovery that would love to have on this show. This guy's not one of us, but that's irrelevant. It's the message. I was able to put the messenger aside and really look at that and go, gee, I can identify with that, which is another trait that I've learned in this program. So there's two things that came out of that. One is I know that I've grown because I listen to everything that people have to say, and I try not to discount that guy. I want to hear what he has to say. And the second thing is, because I was able to do that, I was able to realize that, yeah, even in my own life, if I face a fear, it makes me closer to having a cheerful life, which lends to the topic, we are not a glum lot. And that was just something I wanted to share with y'all that I had in my notes here that I thought, oh, yeah, okay. So thoughts from y'all.
And I just want to say I am just so happy to have the tribe. And when you were talking about we help each other, you know, my health is not the greatest. That's no secret with any of us. And when I did buy my house, the most daunting thing about that was thinking, how am I going to get all this stuff moved? And I was kind of reverting back to my old self because I didn't want to ask for help. And so one day the tribe just showed up with trucks and trailers. I said, all right, what do you what do you put stuff are you going to move and what are you going to leave? And I was like, wow, that just really, that was cool, and we got it done. And I was making such a big thing of it in my own head. Like, man, I don't know if I can reach down and pick up furniture. And come to find out I didn't have to. All I had to do was reach out and ask for help. Guys, I guess maybe could see that or see that the time to move is coming and I have no plan yet. And so they just took the bull by the horns and showed up one day. And I was like, wow, things like that, we're kind of in lockstep. If one of us falls, the other two that are next to him reach down and pick them up and we all walk together. And, from time to time, there is one of our group that has a weak moment and we all jump in there and say, hey, come on, brother. We got you. That's beautiful, man. That is something that I've never had in my life. Being out there on the dark side. I had lots of fast friends, but I have a feeling a lot of them would just kill me to look at me. I mean, I hung out with some pretty rough hombres, and I'm not so much a rough hombre, so I don't know how I'll live through that. But I don't know, man. I'm just living a great life now. I don't have any desire to go back to that other crap that I was waiting.
Sloan, if I hadn't have met Johnny, I wouldn't have understood a word you just said, because I never knew you when you were hanging out with the bad guys. But then we did that show with Johnny. I don't know what episode it is, one of our earlier episodes. But when Johnny said the things that you guys were engaged in, of course the thought went through my mind, how in the world did you guys survive that? You were hanging out with some bad people.
We went into places that if you didn't have a gun on you, they'd hand you one at the door.
My God.
But no, there was some really dark stuff going on, and the barriers that I said I would never cross that I crossed, and that just became the norm in my life. And that seemed like a normal life to me because that's what I was doing, and so I justified it. And it could have really gotten me could have gotten me thrown in prison, running around with pretty large amounts of drugs in the car, and just doing really, really stupid things. And watching everybody around me fall, either die or go to prison. And it didn't occur to me that maybe I need to slow down or stop. And, I think that was a God thing the day that you got me to come to a meeting. And I had no intentions when I went in there to sticking with a program, or I didn't know what I was going to do, but I didn't think AA was going to work. Something came over me that day, and I thought I might as well give this a fair shake, or I think I'm going to die if I don't. And I'm still convinced of that. So that's another part of our little tribe that, Bob, you didn't do it for me, but you certainly led me to water, and I decided to drink. But, that's what we do for each other. And that's so, man, it's a beautiful, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, Sloan, I appreciate that. And I do want to say that is the second part of this program, because somebody did the same thing for me. That individual went down the route, got cleans, got sober, got a happy life, and then mentored me. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do. We pay it forward. The uniqueness behind this tribe that we call, and again, I've said this before, and that is something I got to quit saying. I've said this before. On page 336 in the Big Book, it talks about the tribe. So that's not an original term that we came up with. It's actually out of the literature. Before you guys came into my life, and then of course we've grown, there's like anywhere between 10, 15 something guys. I don't even know. We assign a number or anything. We're not an exclusive club. If you're local, you want to hang out, you just get a hold of us. You just hang out. That's just how we roll. However, I was in the program for quite a few years before I started developing friendships. And that's why that was the epiphany I had a little while ago, is like the original group is sitting right here. I never even thought of that before. Tony and I hooked up, and he said, hey, you want to go to a meeting and I was like, that is a long ways away, but what the heck, we'll go on. It's a mini road trip for us. So we went all the way up there, met you, Pat. And then we got this wild idea that, hey, why don't we meet at Sloan's house? And, voluntold Sloan, hey, now my dog's here and he's all tied up in the cords, which is, I remember, and there it goes. Oh, gosh. And there goes the...
on that note, we may take a break.
Oh, that's
okay.
Funny.
Oh, it's not?
Jerk a cable out somewhere?
No,
I don't think he got my headphone cable.
Danny, are you?
Yeah. Are you all right, Danny boy? Yeah. Sorry, Bob.
We're almost before Look at that. It's still recording. Okay. Now I've gotten how to splice it. Okay. Okay, so as we get wrapped up, thanks, Danny, for coming down and joining us. Do you guys have any closing thoughts? You know, we try to keep the show around an hour, so we're not as famous as Joe Rogan, where people will dedicate their whole day to listen to a show. And Joe's got some great shows out there, but I don't know how he can do it. So anyway, any closing thoughts, or actually, if you could, actually, I would like you to say something to the listening audience that they can add to their toolbox that would be something that lends to the topic of we are, not a glum lot. So just jump in.
Just hang in there. I know nobody's going to tell you that early sobriety is easy, but when you hang in there, I promise you it gets easier. And I would say, like Tony said, embrace it. Walk into an AA meeting. Don't do like I think everyone here has done it. Sit in the very back, and as soon as the meeting is closed, the door, go up and shake some people's hands and get to know some people. Nicest bunch of people you're ever going to see. And it almost drove me crazy when I first came in, because these people seemed so campy and so friendly. It almost made me sick because I was not used to seeing that. But I learned to embrace that, meet people, and to kind of, get in the middle of the herd. And I promise things will get better. That's all I've got.
Yeah, good word, bro.
So, for me, the program offers a lot for anybody. It does. It just depends on what you want. There's a million things to do in the program. You just got to get busy. It starts with coming to a meeting and eventually getting a sponsor, working the steps. But then it kind of starts going any which way you want it. And for me, being, I was a isolated drunk, and to come in and see people that, had a life outside of that, but also embraced what was going on in the rooms. That was big for me. There's 100 things to do in your home. Outside your home group, there's 100 things to do in district. Outside the district, there's 100 things to do in the area. And it's just finding, what that is that you want to do. And for me, I can do one thing on Monday night. That's my home group. Tuesday night, we're doing something. Wednesday night, we're doing something. There's tons of things to do is what I'm trying to, in a roundabout way, 7 things that I just said. There's a ton of things to do. And, it just starts with keep coming back. And luckily the group that I started with, they told me every time, just keep on coming back. When you don't want to, keep on coming back. When you're tired, when the day's been rough, keep on coming back. And eventually, like I said at the onset, you start to meet people, and life changes. It changes, and we start to change. And it's not about the trips for me. It's not about it's about being with a group of guys or ladies that's just enjoying life, because I didn't enjoy life, and being able to experience the things that, if you would have told me 3.5 years ago that I'd gone to Ohio, or taken, hell, I don't know how many trips to Texas. I think Texas is our second home at this point for some of us. To go down there 7 or 8 times, to go to New York City, to go to a big ass house in Eureka Springs, to go to a coon supper, to me and Sloan get to go to district and area now.
Yay!
Yeah, good times. If you would have told me I was going to be doing all that 3.5 years ago, you're crazy, But as I think the theme is more embracing, we have to embrace it. That's the way my program works. If I don't embrace it, I feel not only I'm not giving myself the opportunity. And how many opportunities do you really get in life? I don't know. I don't want to test that, So it's hard to say, the tools keep coming back. That's number one for me, because it started early. If I didn't keep on coming back, if I came into the rooms and, it was a glum lot, I'm out, because I know that life. So if it wasn't affording me something new, I wouldn't be here. And, but thank God, I walked into a group that did embrace me, and there was, cheerfulness. There was, I could point to several of the members and say, I want what he has. And I got to meet my tribe, that, you don't keep me sober by no means, but it sure does help. So that's all I got. Tony, what you got?
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks. Yeah. So you mentioned tools, Bob, tools people can use. So since I'm on the road, probably the most around here, I'll mention some tools that you can use when you're not with your home group and you're not with your tribe. So, to preface this, my job is to get units ready to deploy into combat. And people say, there is no combat. There's nothing going on in Afghanistan or Iraq or anything. And if you think that, you're probably not really watching, might be watching the mainstream news, but you're not really looking as deep as you need to get. So, the units I deploy are deploying to Iraq and Syria. And yes, there are still rounds coming in. So I get some fulfillment, even though I complain about my job, and these guys hear it all the time. Because, an average of 200 days this year, I'll be on the road. But, how do you stay sober when you're doing something like that? And there's a lot of things. You take your big book, you take your, a new pair of glasses or some type of, literature with you. But there's people that don't like to read, I'm one of those people, when I start reading, I start getting tired. So there's other things. For those who haven't heard about the AA Grapevine, it's a great resource. It really is. It's, they come out monthly with these little magazine articles, and what we call it is our meeting in print. So each month has a theme to it, but it's not just, serious articles about AA. There's jokes in it. There's cartoons. There's all kinds of things. But again, some people don't like to read. So what do you do then? Well, there's plenty of podcasts out there, just like this one. But AA also has a Grapevine podcast. You can find it on any channel that has podcasts on it, and it's called the Grapevine. And they started it in 2021, and it's been going strong since. It's on its 8th season and has probably hundreds of different podcasts like this. But I have a problem with keeping focus on one thing. The good thing with that podcast, it's no more than 30, 35 minutes. So you can listen to it while you're driving, and I do a lot of driving. So, we talk about the trips we go on and hanging out with our home group and our tribe and everything, but everybody can't do that all the time. So there are other resources out there, and you just you got to look for them. And a Grapevine is definitely one of those resources that's out there. That's all I got.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder too. Hazelton just launched a podcast as well. And that's important too, because where our show is more topical, and we have different, table chats. We do experience, strength, and hope with an individual, or I'm going to have a subject matter expert here on soon that I met last night. Fantastic guy. Ladies, guys, and then we cover all aspects of recovery, looking for the similarities. So it's like I said earlier, it's not just a list. It's just like physical recovery's life in general. So we are not dedicated to a specific illicit. And in addition to that, as you can tell, we don't get hung up on the horror stories here. We're more interested in talking about, the tools that we use to have a life today. And that's the same as saying using tools to stay sober. And my own input is this whole higher power thing. I had a real hard time identifying with you guys in itself, identifying with recovery in itself. But y'all kept using this higher power term. And I always thought that was hokey. And we've heard all kinds of generic higher powers. When I really started searching for that thing that I believed was bigger than me, it led me to, where I'm at today. And I'm one of those, probably not accepted in a lot of Christian circles because I am a rough around the edges Christian. And I say that out of full transparency because I know I've met people like me that are struggling with, I say I'm a Christian, but people call me a hypocrite because, fill in the blanks. And one of the saving graces is that I believe that, my God today loves me just the way I am and too much to let me stay that way. And I grow because of that. And the only reason I'm really bringing that up is because I have struggles. You all have struggles. And the first go-to is my God. God, you got to help me through this because I'm losing my freaking mind. And I there's times that I really feel like this is it. Even though I've been sober for a few days, a few months, years, I'm a human being. And I know when I get like that, I feel like the first thing you guys have taught me that I know came from our higher power is, hey, dude, you're on fire. Stop, drop, and roll and pick up the phone. Pray, pick up the phone and never quit. Endure. I love that word as well. Embrace. I'm glad you said that earlier. And as we wrap this up, folks, we said everything we said because you are not alone. It's just our tagline. Love and tolerance is our code. Grace. We don't have the right to judge anybody, especially for the stuff that we've done and been through. And if we were, or let's say this, if this group was like that judgy type of group, well, none of us would qualify to be in it. We just wouldn't. We've all got our own baggage. Some of us have, all of us together have more baggage than an airline terminal. I mean, we are messed up people, well, formerly messed up, that really have decent lives today. So as always, you are not alone. And, if nobody told you they believe in you today and they love you today, we love you guys. So God bless you. Have an outstanding American Day. This is Bob the Old Rucker with some of the tribe members, Tony, Pat, and Sloan, and peace out.